The U.S. President Joe Biden is expected to confirm a further $800 million worth of military aid for Ukraine, bringing the total this week to $1 billion. According to reports, the package includes anti-tank and air defense systems. The aid comes as President Zelensky prepares to deliver a virtual address to members of the U.S. Congress.
We've already committed more than $1.2 billion in security assistance to the people of Ukraine just over the past year. And I know all of you know that. It's preaching to the choir here. But we've been providing anti-armor, taking out tanks, anti-air capabilities directly to the Ukrainian forces. And we're also facilitating significant shipments of security assistance from our allied partners to Ukraine. With this new security funding and the drawdown authorities in this bill, we're moving urgently to further augment the support to the brave people of Ukraine as they defend their country. We're also going to be better positioned to provide for the rapidly growing humanitarian needs of the Ukrainian people. This war has turned nearly 3 million Ukrainians into refugees, with numbers growing every single day. And that's on top of the 12 million people who require humanitarian assistance inside of Ukraine. The United States is helping to lead the global humanitarian response with our partners in Europe and well beyond Europe.
An address by me to the Congress of the United States of America is planned on Wednesday. An important event. But today, I want to express my gratitude to President Joe Biden and to all the friends of Ukraine in the United States for the new support package for our nation to the tune of $13.6 billion.
Well, for more on this, we can cross live to the United States and join Arise correspondent Rotimi Kade. Rotimi, thanks for joining us on Newsday. President Zelensky is set to address the U.S. Congress. What are we expecting him to say?
Well, we should expect a passionate, emotional, and fierce speech going by his recent public appearances at different forums. If it actually goes as expected, Biden may come under intense pressure from lawmakers pushing for more Ukrainian aid. This definitely won't be the first time President Zelensky will be appealing directly to members of House and the Senate, who, of course, remain remarkably unified in the support of Ukraine. Already, there's an ideological difference and divide amongst the lawmakers. The vast majority believe that the White House isn't doing enough to help Ukraine, and some even suggest that U.S. should put boots on the ground in Ukraine to deter Russia. These are non-starters for the administration. The administration will argue that they've done more for Ukraine in recent days and weeks, including sending military supplies, levying sanctions, and of course banning imports of Russian oil and embracing the symbolism of a unified West. But the White House is also not willing to cave into the demands of Zelensky, which are one, that to the West and NATO should declare a no-fly zone, and of course the use of the U.S. base in Poland to actually funnel the MiG-29 fighter jets to Ukraine. This move, the White House believes that it's going to trigger the World War III. And some analysts actually said that as a result of this fears from the White House, Putin actually has smelled some sort of anxiety on the part of the West, and it's not going to stop until he achieves his aim in Ukraine. So there's going to be more or less like a strong appeal on the part of Zelensky in a way that could unify the West to quickly come to the aid of the Ukrainian people.
Meanwhile, it seems President Biden is expected to confirm a further $800 million in military aid for Ukraine. Will this be enough to counter Russia's invasion as it is?
Well, absolutely, it's not going to be enough. Russia actually has a very large military personnel, and they also have over 3 million reservists, which means that They can call on those reservists to actually come in, should in case they're actually running short of supplies. That money is not going to be enough. Obviously, I think what the Ukrainian people need right now is the total support, militarily, which means that NATO should confront Russia and the U.S. as well to stave off Russia's threat. In that way, they feel that it's going to make them more safer than giving them the military supply. The military supplies are very good, but the Ukrainians don't even have enough manpower to actually use those military supplies. And don't forget that the vast majority of them are not. They have a very small military personnel, which hinders them from, carrying out some of this, carrying out some of this. Carrying out some of this, fighting back, against the aggression from the Russians. So I think the Ukrainians will be looking forward to something much more substantial than what they're currently being presented to right now.
Rotimi, just how much bipartisan support is there for Joe Biden's policy towards Ukraine?
Well, I think there's an overwhelming bipartisan support. Both Democrats and Republicans are in unison in doing everything to support Ukrainian people, and a testament to that is the bipartisan supports the spending bill, which of course went into the tune of about $1 billion. And that obviously is a plus for Zelensky as he addressed the Congress later today.
Rotimi, we understand that Russia too has announced sanctions against some U.S. individuals. What more can you tell us about that, and how is the U.S. reacting to those sanctions?
Well, I think the reaction here is almost laughable. Jen Psaki, the press secretary, actually said that that is more or less reactionary, and it should not be taken seriously because the sanction against the president, his son, and also the former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton had absolutely no effect, in the course of things, and as this war persists, is just more reactionary than any other thing. The U.S. do not have some sort of direct links with Russia in terms of assets and all of that, and I think the more what people are talking about more is the travel sanctions. Obviously, these individuals will not be able to travel to Russia. But at this time, nobody wants to travel to Russia because of a seemingly retaliatory move that could be on the part of Russians. And that's the more reason the administration is saying that all U.S. citizens should leave Russia immediately because Russia could use them as a bargaining chip in the future if things are down, if all odds are against the Russians.
Rotimi, in spite of what the U.S. has done to show support for Ukraine at this time, there has been heavy criticism that they haven't really done enough. If you look at the nature of the weapons that were, supplied to Ukraine to defend itself, they didn't necessarily receive anything, that could be comparable to what Poland was offering. And I have to remember that the U.S. declined that offer which Poland made. So going by that, do you think that we're going to see even more done by the U.S. apart from sanctions and financial support in the coming days?
Well, it all depends on what the Congress, after the address today by Zelensky to the Congress, what they're going to decide, whether they can bypass the president to supply what the Ukrainian people actually said they need. Zelensky actually said that then MiG-29 fighter jets, which Poland was ready to donate to them, but it has to come base in Poland, and Biden administration said no, we don't want that because that would be a direct confrontation with Russians, and one of the reasons why many countries are avoiding Russia at this time, not because they are very strong militarily, but because they are nuclear power. They fear that Putin may actually resort to using the nuclear arsenal that he has if he couldn't get his way in Ukraine. And if there's a nuclear war, obviously, everybody's going to pay the price. And I think that's the reason why the administration is a bit reluctant, which many people see as being weak. But at the same time, we really do not know whether the MiG's 29 fighter jets will help the Ukrainian cause. The administration actually argued that Ukrainians don't even fly some of those planes that they have right now because they don't have the manpower to do so. And what the administration has supplied so far, they've supplied 600 Stinger missiles, 2,600 Javelins, anti-armor systems, unmanned area system, tracking radars, grenade launchers, 22 shotguns, etc. And that is enough for them to hold on to the aggression, to the invasion from Russia, pending when NATO and US decide on what to do.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for joining the program and giving us the update on all of that, Rotimi Kade.